I do what you mean, because I see nowadays like kids can literally learn and copy any style of music in a day because they have a tutorial. It's so easy. Yeah. It's really easy, and I wish I had that. But then at the same time, I wouldn't have had such a definitive like who I am. And when people always ask me when I do radio shows, like, what advice do you give to young DJs? And it's like always the same thing. Like, what makes yourself unique? Like, what really makes you different? Because I could throw a fucking rock and I'm gonna hit a DJ or artist in the head in London. Like, there's somebody here. It's like somebody. Not talking about you. But it's so easy. Like, I literally get demos all the time. Like, what? I don't even care. I don't even pay attention. I used to actually like try to listen to demos. I'm like, this is all the same shit. Like, people are doing the same thing over and over again. Like, you know, whatever city you're in, there's like a thing. And every once in a while, you get like a special person that comes out of nowhere, and you're like, wow, that's unique. But really, what is it? Like for me, you were talking about William Faulkner. I really tapped into like my Southern heritage when I was younger. I was like, what? I loved like Miami bass music growing up in Florida. I loved like, you know, the crunk scene, the bounce scene in New Orleans. I grew up in Tennessee for a couple of years, so I loved like Memphis rap. It was like my favorite thing. So when I went to the East Coast, none of that stuff was happening. Like nobody listened to that music. So I was like, let me bring this to the East Coast. Let me start playing this at my parties. And it took off. Like all this new sounds I brought, even though they were just like a 1 hour flight down south to hear Miami bass music, no one listened to it in Philly. So I was playing this stuff mixed with like 80s records, and that was like my brand. I was the guy that was like doing this mashup culture. And so nobody else had that party. There was like urban parties and be playing hip hop. There would be, you know, rock and roll parties playing like glam rock and you could dance to it. There would be like high-end parties playing house music, but nobody was playing for like the art school kids and the hipsters at the time because it was pre-hipster. It wasn't even a word yet. And I was like, that's my market. And I was like, no one's tapped into this. Let me go ahead and do this. You know, and every little venture I've done as a musician has been like, why is no one in this market? Like even when I did Major Lazer, it was like reggae and dancehall we were doing, but nobody was really doing it in the clubs in America. There was like, if you go to like Philly, you want to see Vibes Cartel, you have to go to like this one ghetto club in like Lancaster, and it's like only Jamaicans there. And I'm like, this is such crazy music. Like, why don't we do this on another level? Like, why don't we work with some of these artists and do bigger records? And so I was like, no one's doing dancehall. Let's do it. This project. So everywhere I went, I was like experimenting. Like, how do I do this and kind of make it my own, or how do I like work this into my sets? And it's been like a journey. You know, this is 20 years now. I'm doing this since I played at my first show at Fabric, and it feels like I've done so many. If you're a fan of mine and you follow me for 20 years, it's a really tough journey because it's like you're going to go to reggae music, you're going to go to country music, now you're going to go to deep house, you're going to go this way and that way. But a few people actually go with me and follow my career. So, you know, I think that's what makes me a one-of-a-kind person, I guess. So back to my point, when young people ask me questions of like, what kind of advice I can give you? I'm like, find like a really unique thing and just lean into that. Lean into that so hard. Like figure out, even if it feels weird, just make it make sense. You know, make it work for you, because otherwise you're just going to be one of 100, like clones of different DJs, different rappers.
What does it mean to be a DJ in 2022? And what does it take to be a good DJ? I mean, you've heard it from arguably the top named DJ on the planet. You can learn to DJ, the technical side of DJing, you can learn it in a day. No questions asked. You can watch a tutorial, go to a studio, press a few buttons, and you're good to go. You can play at a bar tomorrow. Are you a DJ? Or are you a DJ when you know how to transition songs seamlessly, where the BPMs don't align, you can read a crowd, and when things don't go your way, you can bring the crowd back in, entertain them, keep their attention, introduce them to songs that they didn't know they liked. You're not only playing the tunes that you want to play, you are experimenting new sounds, you are testing their ear, you're educating, you are selecting at the right moment, at the right time. When you get a song request from someone, you're able to deflect that pressure. And even though you might not play that song, that person who made that song request can leave the night happy, not complaining that you didn't play that track, because you played a track that they didn't know they wanted to hear, they needed to hear. What makes a DJ in 2022? But within that, there is a different question that Diplo also unpacked. And this is around music production, around sound. There are endless amounts of extremely talented artists in deep house. But let's take Afro house for a second. You've got the consistent plucks, bass, a few piano notes, sweeps, rises, impacts. Afro house. Anybody can do it. But what makes you different? What will set you apart from the person, the artist, the producers, the creatives that they're good? People will buy it, but are they going to get gigs? Are they going to get bookings? Are they going to make the impact that artists like the Kana Music Crew, the Capo, Cairo, Temba, Mash, FKA Mash, Atmos Black? What is your thing? What is your key differentiator? What sets you apart? What makes you you that you can apply to deep house, Afro, melodic, organica, deep tech, minimal? It's very easy now to go on YouTube, like you're doing now, watch a tutorial about how to DJ, how to do FL studios, and try and do it. What's difficult is looking at yourself, spending time with yourself, understanding what makes you different, and applying that to your creative process, to music. It's a lonely journey. It's the difficult path that you have to take, I think, to be successful nowadays in the music, DJ, music production world. Listen, I was just in Mykonos last week. Thousands and thousands and thousands of DJs on the island. People are trying to make it. People are trying to be the next. The thing is, a lot of people sound the same. A lot of people want to be part of a group. But take a step back. Be a bit more patient in figuring out how can people not want to follow, but want to be like me. Look at my sound, look at what I'm doing and say, that guy's different. And I think it's also about being inspired, right? There's nothing wrong with listening to a track and feeling inspiration, feeling a sense of admiration for an artist, for a creative, and wanting to apply that to your sound. Completely fine. The problem is you can't copy and paste that sound because most people, the people who make the decision will see through that. And I've spoken to a few DJs, a few people in this space who said the same thing. What does it take to be a good DJ, good music producer in 2022?